Hey guys, welcome to another video review. We've been on the topic of custom statues, and so along that line again from Salt and Pepper Studios is my final piece from them. This is Spider Gwen from the alternate timeline of Spider-Man. This is one of my favorite pieces from them, so let's get into it right now. So for those of you who may not be familiar with the storyline here, you know, Gwen Stacy was, I believe, Peter Parker's first girlfriend before he even met Mary Jane. You know, in some iterations of the story, forgive me, I'm not the biggest Peter Parker fan, but essentially, you know, she was, I think, his first girlfriend, and then in a pretty famous, you know, story arc with the Green Goblin, she fell to her death, and that's the original timeline. So in an alternate timeline, in an alternative universe where things went differently, Gwen Stacy instead got the powers that Peter Parker was supposed to. I think in that storyline, Peter Parker actually turns into the Lizard. It gets kind of crazy, but basically in that timeline, or in that alternate universe, Gwen Stacy becomes Spider-Man, and so her alter ego name is Spider Gwen. So this is her in her famous Spider Gwen costume, except she's unmasked, and it shows her essentially on the rooftops. It's a beautiful statue. Let's go over it little by little. One of Salt and Pepper's best. So here she is on the rooftops. The base itself is very nice, simple. It's obviously, and again, on the roof, you can see the stonework here. You can see the brick layout over here. Excellent detail, nicely painted. You can see the pipes. And then she's stepping onto it. You can see her shoes. And then her costumes, you can actually see the subtle detailing of the little scales, and that's all throughout her costume, okay? So here again, here's the shoes on this side. She's stepping on there. She's listening on her iPhone. You can actually see the little wire from here all the way up to her ears. Again, taking a look at the costume. This is the classic costume from the comic books. So the black has very nice scaling details. The white is nice and smooth. You can see sort of the pink underneath. Here's her buttocks right here. Here's the back. This is the hood thrown back. And then this is Spider Gwen. You can see her eyes. I think they are green. Once I flash, we'll be able to tell a little bit better. Her hairband. So what do I like about the statue? Number one, I'm very pleased with sort of the overall design and the balance of her, okay? And what I mean by that is that her pose is very, very natural. Posing a statue is sort of a tricky thing because, you know, you don't want to have a statue just sort of standard museum style. I think it's appropriate for some pieces, but for others, it comes across as being just a little bit boring, all right? And you don't want to have a statue necessarily just stand there. Now, she has a variation of this, which gives her a little bit more interesting anatomy changes. She has one of the, well, in her case, she has her right leg stepping up onto a raised outcropping, whether it's stone or in this case, a rooftop, but one leg is up. They call this sort of the Captain Morgan stance. Why Captain Morgan? I have no idea. That's just what it's called. So like, you know, the captain planting the flag or looking to the horizon, one leg planted up. Okay, so she has that. Again, a very old trope. Sideshow uses it seemingly on every statue they have, every superhero they have. But the reason it's used so often is because it's effective. Now, she obviously is a female statue, very voluptuous, very, very graceful. And I think the sculptor did an amazing job sort of having her do this pose, but in a way that is very natural and that sort of accentuates her flexibility and her grace. She has beautiful long legs. The leg now here is of course raised up and crossed. You can sort of see the wrinkles of her skin tight suit reacting to the leg being raised. So that's a very nice touch. You can see the little wrinkles of the suit here and here and here. The way that her arm is sort of resting on that knee and very kind of casually resting there. You see her other arm looking like it just pulled her hood off. All of that, sort of denotes this sense of motion very, very nicely. And that is a really, really big challenge in creating statues, is that it's easy in a sense to make a statue of just a superhero just standing there doing nothing. But if you want that superhero to be doing something, whether it's flying or punching, whether in her case she's just listening to a song or holding a phone and pulling her hood back, man, you've really got to be on top of your game, sculpturally speaking, to adequately convey that sense of motion without something wrong happening, without it feeling awkward or weird, because we as human beings do this all the time, and so we really detect, rigid or awkward movements very, very easily. And so one of the amazing things about the statue is she's standing there, she's beautiful, she's graceful. It really looks like she's in mid-stride, about to fly off, and then she casually takes her hood off. She's listening to music. The whole piece is just very beautifully put together, very, very naturalistic, very artistic, and you buy totally that she's basically doing it. It feels like you took a snapshot of her in time as she's pulling the hood off. So number one, beautiful pose, beautiful art direction. Number two, they didn't take any shortcuts on the details of her costume. Again, I mentioned the wrinkles. I like the fact that these are nicely scaled. When you see detail of this type, it's almost a sure thing that this was digitally sculpted. This level of detail to be done by hand is usually not part of the game. It usually can't be done to this level of precision, or it will take way too long for it to be done. So it is digitally sculpted, masterfully printed out. I like the way the colors come together, the black, the white, the pink. I love the fact that they actually were ambitious enough in the art direction to create a mini phone that on first inspection is obviously an iPhone, but on first inspection, looks pretty good, okay? And with a wire, of course, all the way to the earbuds. So, again, very creative, very beautiful, very nicely detailed. The paint is very good as well. Not too complicated, but done, nicely, done very cleanly. I do like the fact they didn't go overboard on, her breasts. A lot of problems with comic book women and also the statues of comic book women is one of the criticisms is because, they're aimed at supposedly teenage boys and that type of thing. They do make the female anatomy a little bit overly exaggerated. The same, of course, can be said for the men. They make the men incredibly muscular, unrealistically so. But I like the fact that, when they sculpted her, they again made her body reasonably proportioned. They didn't give her a gigantic chest or huge, breasts. I appreciate that. And they made the figure, again, overall appropriate for someone with the powers of Spider-Man. You can easily see her, swinging through the air gracefully. So that's very, very good. Now, in terms of, again, some areas of improvement, the face sculpt is good. I wouldn't call it amazing. I wouldn't call it great. It lacks a little bit of refinement. Much better portraits, in my opinion, have been done since. But again, it's not ugly. It's not ridiculous, but it's not super detailed. It's okay. It's fine. I give it like a B minus. So, again, I think the face could be done a little bit better, and more recent sculptures have delivered, I think, better faces. So that's that. Number two, in terms of the way she's put together, there are some pretty obvious seam lines at the wrists. So right here, I mean, obviously there's one right here that where it doesn't fit quite as nice as it should. You can obviously clearly see the seam line here as well. So those are, basically detailing work that, can be refined with later iterations, later versions, later more ambitious pieces. And in terms of the change of head, we'll do that right now. So you take the first step is to take the phone off, and then you take this out of her ear. So there are the little tiny holes, as you can see. We can put the ends of those little earbuds. So we can take that out, right on over here. So that goes down, okay? And then the head, the entire head, believe it or not, along with the hand comes off in one piece. So this actually is a pretty interesting change of head. This is how you take it off, okay, with the hand attached. And by the way, a little bit closer look, she is blue-eyed, which is as you would expect for someone with blonde hair. I don't think she would have green eyes. So in any case, so here she is. You can get a little bit better view of her face. Again, not bad, nicely painted, pretty, but again, a better portrait having done. So we'll put her down over here. Now, obviously this hand is no longer appropriate because it's supposed to be holding the phone, which no longer is. So we're gonna take that hand off. So the other way of displaying this piece is you put the other hand here. As you can see, this one is now no longer quite as open a gap. It's no longer holding the phone. So you put that in like so. Hold on a second here. So just like this. And again, when you do that, you can clearly see again the seam lines here. So not quite as clean as it should be, but it's now resting very naturally along the leg. And then you have the other head, like so. So this is her with her mask now all the way on. So you have to sort of play with it a little bit. It goes like that, and then it goes like this. You wriggle it a little bit, press it down a little bit. So again, you can kind of clearly see the seam lines here. And this is what she looks like without the iPhone attachment. So here you go. And I kind of like this, but both versions have their unique, I think, beauty. The one with Gwen sort of showcases her face. Again, it has the added creativity of the iPhone, the earbuds. I quite like that. But here, you of course, this is the money shot, right? In superhero statues, you kind of see them in full costume with the mask on. And so from here, in the previous one, it looks like she's just got done, taking her mask off. But you can also interpret it as her about to put the hood back on. And this is sort of right where she finishes putting the hood on, or you can interpret her as beginning to take her mask and hood off. But again, it doesn't change the fact that it's very, very naturalistic. You can actually see the fold of the hood and where her fingers are grasping that area. So again, very, very nice effect. There's no wrong way to display her. I had her displayed mask off for quite a while, so I think now I'm gonna have her displayed with a mask on. So here you have it. This is Spider Gwen by Salt and Pepper. I don't think they made more than about, I think, 70 or 80 of these at most. And I managed to get one of the artist proofs. So this is an artist proof, which is a little bit more rare. They only made about maybe, I think, 5 or 6 of these. But she's not available anymore, long sold out. Now, this is a niche character from an alternate universe. How many versions of her art out there? There's one by Mark Brooks, which is licensed by SciShow. It is 1/5 scale. It's being delayed. I don't have her yet. It's smaller than this. This is a full quarter scale. And so that's one coming out. I do like that one's face quite a bit better, but we'll have to see what it looks like in hand. And then there's the one by XM, which I don't own in person, but which I've seen pictures of. I don't like that one too much, just mainly because I find the pose really weird. She's just sort of standing there with her face turned up. She's about to jump off the building in mid-flight. I understand what XM was going for, but I don't like their face. I think her eyes are closed, and again, it's not much better than this face in my opinion. So that's basically it. There's not many statues of Spider Gwen out there, and so when you're looking at the Mark Brooks slideshow version, and then the Salt and Pepper Custom, and then the XM version, there's only the three. Those are the three major ones, and I can't really judge the Mark Brooks one quite yet. But of the three, I still think this one probably has the best pose. It's definitely the nicest pose. It's the larger size at quarter scale. I really like the way this is done. And so again, despite the licensed versions coming out, this to me is probably still the queen of the heap. And we'll see when I get Mark Brooks in person, the Mark Brooks version in person, how it compares. But this is still, in my opinion, the best Spider Gwen on the market, just because it has everything: the change of head, the creativity, the motion, all of that, the detailing. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. So if you have a chance to acquire it, I think you shouldn't hesitate. It's pretty rare now. I hardly ever see it really go up for sale. Most people who have it love it, and they plan on keeping it. I think there's one gentleman who actually had it even repainted into like a Spider Gwen anti-venom suit, which looked amazing. But again, this is Salt and Pepper's Spider Gwen. I hope you enjoyed that, and until next time, take care. So a quick view of the statue with flash on. Flash for this one is a little bit tricky just because a large part of her costume is white, which the flash is really going to wash out. But it also depicts some really, really nice details on the balcony. You can now see the black a lot better. You can see how the white completely washes out the detail, but you can get a much better sense of the black, the gray, the black and the white stripes. If I go really close, you can actually see the white a little bit better, but here's the sort of the pink webbing. Here she is there. So there's that. Not too much to see on flash that you didn't see without it, okay? The actual real improvement is kind of, again, appreciating Spider Gwen's unmasked portrait. And here, it's now clear that she doesn't have blue eyes, she has green eyes. So for those of you who know Gwen Stacy a lot better than I do, you probably would have already guessed that she has green eyes, but clearly painted to be green, very pretty. And again, the flash sort of accentuates her paint job. Nice paint job, very nicely done lips, the hairband, very, very good. Put it next to each other so you can compare. All right. So hope that gave a little bit more detail on the unmasked version. It looks really nice. And again, we'll see you in the next video here.